Open your freezer right now, and I'd put money on it that somewhere in the back there's a bag of something frozen into a solid brick that you forgot you even owned. We've all got one. Somewhere along the way, the freezer stopped being a pantry and turned into the place food goes to be forgotten. But that's not what it's for. Our grandparents understood something we let slip. That freezer is of like another savings account. The average family throws out more than $1,500 in food every single year, and a huge chunk of it is stuff that could have gone in the freezer and waited patiently until you actually needed it. Grandma didn't waste a crumb. She froze the harvest, she froze the sale, she froze the leftovers, and she ate like royalty in the dead of winter for pennies on the dollar. And the single most powerful tool she'd reach for today costs about $2. This little ice cube tray right here. I'm going to show you 20 foods that freeze far better than you'd ever guess, with the exact way to do each one, and you'll notice a whole bunch of them run right through this humble tray. Stick with me because by the end, you're going to look at your freezer like it owes you money. Because it does. Let's start with the one that's burned every single one of us, tomato paste. The recipe calls for 1 tablespoon, one, and then the rest of that open can sit in the fridge growing a fuzzy science experiment until you give up and toss it. Here's the fix. Spoon what's left onto a tray in little tablespoon dollops, freeze them solid, then drop them in a bag. Next time, you grab 1 frozen nugget and it goes straight in the pan. No thawing needed, it melts right in. No second can, no waste, no guilt. Buy 2 cans a month out of habit, and that's real grocery money you stop throwing in the bin. And tomato paste isn't the only can pulling this trick on you. Think about chipotle peppers in adobo. You use 1 pepper, and the other 6 rot. Same story with coconut milk, same with pumpkin puree. You open a whole can for half a cup. Freeze the leftovers in recipe-size portions instead. The chipotles freeze 1 pepper at a time with a little of that sauce spooned over. The coconut milk and pumpkin go into half-cup blobs. This one habit quietly shaves a chunk off your bill because you quit buying the exact same can twice. Now here's one that actually breaks the rules. Most foods you freeze just to keep them. Tofu, you freeze to make it better. Sounds backwards, and I know, but when you freeze a block of tofu, the water inside turns to ice and carves little pockets all through it. Thaw it, squeeze the water out, and you're left with something chewy and firm that drinks up marinade like a sponge. Folks who swear up and down they hate tofu, try it this way and can't believe it's the same stuff. Press it, freeze the block overnight, thaw it, give it a good squeeze, and cook. Cheap protein that finally has some backbone to it. Eggs are next, and yes, you really can freeze them. But there's a catch nobody bothers to mention. Crack a whole egg into the freezer, and the yolk turns into a thick, gluey gel that ruins the texture. The old bakers had a dead simple cure. Beat in a tiny pinch of salt for cooking, or a little sugar for baking. Just a pinch per couple of yolks, and that gelling stops cold. The whites freeze perfectly all on their own. Pour them into that ice cube tray, 1 egg per cube, freeze, then bag them. When a recipe wants 2 eggs, you pull 2 cubes. This is a lifesaver in spring when the hens won't quit and then slow right down come winter. I'll be honest, I thought these health rings were a scam. I bought one half expecting to send it back. 3 months later, it hasn't left my finger. And it does way more than I expected. Sleep, heart rate, activity, recovery, my cycle, and stress, all from one little ring. The thing that helped me most? I realized my afternoon coffee was quietly wrecking my sleep. One small change, cutting it off after lunch, and within a week I was sleeping like a rock. Now here's why I'm telling you this. Right now, the ring's 63% off. Just $60 if you grab it through the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen. There's a 90-day money-back guarantee if it's not for you. But I'm keeping mine. If you've ever made real caramelized onions, you already know the truth. They take the better part of an hour of standing at the stove, stirring, while they slowly melt down into something sweet and golden. Nobody's doing that on a busy Tuesday. So do it once, Make a mountain of them, let them cool, and freeze them flat in a bag or pressed into cubes. Now that deep, sweet steakhouse flavor is 30 seconds away for your burgers, your soups, your dips. Best part is you'll actually use them instead of skipping them every time because the clock's against you. Fresh herbs are heartbreakers. You buy a gorgeous bunch of basil, use 4 leaves, and 3 days later, the rest is black slime in the crisper drawer. Here's how Grandma would have beaten that. Chop them up, pack them into the ice cube tray, and pour olive oil over the top. Freeze. Now you've got little flavor bombs to drop straight into a hot pan. Works beautifully for rosemary, thyme, sage, parsley, the whole crowd. It's a summer herb garden in the dead of January for the price of one sad supermarket bundle. And 3 days later, the rest is black slime in the crisper drawer. Here's how Grandma would have beaten that. All week long, instead of tossing your vegetable scraps and your chicken bones, drop them into a bag in the freezer. When the bag fills up, dump it in a pot, cover it with water, and simmer it down into stock. Strain it and freeze it flat in bags, or in cubes for when you only need a splash. That's rich, homemade broth built entirely from stuff most people rake into the trash. And it makes those little cartons at the store look like highway robbery. One of those boxes runs you $3 or $4 for a couple of cups. Yours costs nothing but the water and a little time on the stove. Here's a clever one that most folks have completely backwards. They think the freezer is just for storing flour long term. But the real magic is what the cold does the second you bring a new bag home. Fresh flour, cornmeal, oats, any of it can carry tiny pantry moth and weevil eggs you'd never spot with your eyes. Pop the bag in the freezer for 3 or 4 days first, and the cold kills those eggs before they ever get the chance to hatch. Then it moves to the pantry, safe and sound. That little habit has saved farm kitchens from a full-blown bug invasion for generations. Mushrooms freeze well, but only if you do one thing first. Freeze them raw, and you'll thaw out a pile of slimy, watery little sponges. Nobody signed up for that. Cook them first. Give them a good sauté, let them cool, then freeze. They come out firm and ready for your omelets, your gravy, your pasta. Grab the big, cheap bulk box when it's on sale. Cook the whole lot at once and freeze it in handfuls. Buttermilk might be the silliest thing we waste. A recipe wants half a cup, and the rest of that carton sits and sours until it goes down the drain. Every single time. Freeze it in the exact portions you bake with. It looks a little separated when it thaws, but a quick shake sorts that right out. Pancakes, biscuits, cornbread, none of them know the difference. No more buying a full carton for one tray of biscuits. When lemons or limes hit a good sale, we buy the big bag with big plans, and then half of them turn into sad little rocks in the bowl. Beat them to it. Juice the whole bag in one go and freeze the juice in the ice cube tray. 1 cube is about the squeeze of half a lemon. Drop one into a glass of water, a salad dressing, or a pan sauce any time of the year. Plain frozen garlic is handy, but roasted garlic is a different animal entirely. Sweet and mellow and spreadable, and it takes a solid 40 minutes in the oven. So when the oven's already on, roast a few heads at the same time. Squeeze out those soft golden cloves and freeze them. Now you can smash that deep roasted flavor into mashed potatoes, warm bread, or a dressing whenever the mood strikes, with 0 weight. Just keep a breath mint handy if you plan on socializing afterward. Here's one that genuinely surprises people. Leftover whipped cream. It always dies a slow, sad death in the bowl, doesn't it? Instead, pipe it into little dollops on a tray, freeze them solid, and bag them up. Plop a frozen swirl right onto your hot cocoa or a slice of pie, and it thaws in a couple of minutes, every bit as fluffy as the day you whipped it. Bacon next. Fry the whole pack at once on a slow Sunday, let it cool, and freeze the strips laid out flat. A piece reheats in about 10 seconds, which means a real bacon breakfast on a chaotic weekday costs you no effort whatsoever. And don't you dare pour out that grease. My cardiologist might disagree, but funnel that liquid gold into a jar and keep it in the freezer for cooking. That's pure flavor you already paid good money for. Avocados are up, but I've got to be straight with you because the internet fibs about this one. Frozen avocado slices thaw out brown and mushy and miserable. Skip that. What freezes beautifully is avocado puree. Mash it up with a squeeze of lime, freeze it in small portions, and you've got a guacamole base or a creamy smoothie booster ready to go whenever the store has them 3 for $1. The lime keeps the color from turning, and that's the whole secret. Now let's run quickly through the staples with a few tricks the other folks always skip. Cheese first. Shredded cheese goes straight into the freezer as it is. But for a block, shred it yourself and toss it with a spoonful of cornstarch before it goes in, and it won't freeze into one solid brick. Thaw it in the fridge, never on the counter, and it'll crumble a whole lot less. When you catch those big blocks on sale for a few dollars, that's the moment to load up because cheese holds for a good 6 months frozen, and the savings against the little pre-shredded bags really add up. Butter freezes a full year with no change at all, so when you spot a genuine deal, stock up hard. Milk freezes fine too. Just leave a couple of inches of room at the top of the jug so it doesn't burst and give it a good shake once it thaws. One honest heads up though. Cream freezes okay for cooking, but it won't whip up the same afterwards, so don't count on it for the pie. And a little bonus while we're here, mash your leftover herbs and garlic into soft butter, roll it into a log, and freeze it for instant flavor on just about anything. Bananas now. We've all got the brown speckled ones going soft on the counter. Most people freeze them whole, peel and all, then wrestle a rock-hard banana out of what's basically a concrete jacket. Peel them first? Always. Then blend those frozen chunks into what people call nice cream, a one-ingredient soft serve that fools the grandkids every single time. They'll think they're getting a premium dairy treat, and you can quietly celebrate getting real fruit into them without a single argument. Meat freezes for well over a year if you wrap it right, and chicken and pork burn the fastest, so give those a double wrap. But here's the trick worth the price of admission. You don't need a fancy vacuum sealer. Put your meat in a zip bag, leave it open, and slowly lower it down into a bowl of water. The water pressure squeezes every bit of air out for you. Seal it right at the waterline, and you've got yourself a vacuum seal for free. No freezer burn, no gadget, no extra dollar spent. And portion it out before it goes in, the amount you'd actually cook for one meal, so you're never hacking at a frozen 10-pound lump with a steak knife on a Tuesday evening. Trying to split a solid block of frozen chicken breast with a dull knife is an excellent way to wind up in the local emergency room. Buying the big family packs when they're marked down and splitting them this way is where the real savings hide. And the grand prize, the thing every one of these tips is really building toward. Don't just freeze ingredients, freeze whole dinners. Put together a casserole, a pot of soup, a pizza dough kit, and freeze the finished meal. On the worst, busiest night of the month, you pull out a supper that past you already made and quietly cook it off. It feels like a gift you forgot you left yourself. Quick word before you go freezing the entire kitchen, though, a few things just won't cooperate. Raw lettuce, cucumber, celery, and radishes turn to limp, weepy mush because they're mostly water. Raw potatoes go gritty and gray on you. Cooked egg whites turn to rubber. And creamy dressings like mayo and sour cream split right apart. Knowing the losers is half the battle won. Your freezer was never meant to be a graveyard for forgotten leftovers. It's a savings account, exactly like it was for the folks who came before us. They bought cheap, they wasted nothing, and they ate summer's best in the depths of winter. Start making deposits, and that grocery bill will never look the same again.